All right, ladies and gentlemen. How about that? The Philadelphia Eagles have found their next play caller for the 2026 NFL season, and that man is none other than Sean Mannion, former quarterback in the NFL, former quarterbacks coach of the Green Bay Packers just this past season, interviewed for this position 2 times, ended up landing the job, and amongst the NFL, people rave about Sean Mannion and the type of character guy he is, the type of coach that he is, a rising star in the NFL amongst NFL circles. And this Philadelphia Eagles team is very, very excited about the hire. As per Nick Sirianni's little presser, or the statement that was quote unquote said by Sirianni, as now Philadelphia Eagles are now giving statements that Sirianni is allowed to have his name attached to. We'll get to that in just a moment. But here's what the statement says. Some typos in this statement, but I'm going to read it inside the Eagles. Good for them. I'm getting this quote. I'm thrilled to have Sean Mannion on board as the new offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. This is Nick Sirianni, by the way. My goal throughout this process was to operate with an open mind regarding the future of our offense to find the best fit for the Eagles. Over the last few weeks, I've had the opportunity to meet with a number of talented candidates and great offensive minds. I am appreciative of the time I was able to spend with each one of them. Some came with years of experience running an offense and calling plays. Others were young, sharp, dynamic coaches on the rise. I felt it was important to be patient and thorough to allow the right fit to reveal themselves to us. Sean did just that. It was quickly apparent in the meeting with Sean that he is a bright young coach with a tremendous future ahead of him in this league. I was impressed by his systematic views of offensive football and his strategic approach. Sean's 11 years in the NFL have provided him a great opportunity to learn from and grow along some of the best coaches in the game. As a result, he has a wealth of knowledge and experience that will be invaluable to our team moving forward. I can't wait to see Sean with our team, and I want to welcome him and his wife, Megan, to the Eagles family. Very, very nice statement from Nick Sirianni and from the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know if that was a statement fully said by Nick Sirianni, but that is neither here nor there. We'll get to that in just a moment. But they seem to be very, very excited about this hire, and they being the Philadelphia Eagles, okay? We all kind of know that the way this organization does business, the way they go about their searches since, every other year they seem to let the head coach do the hiring, and then they interfere, and then they let the head coach do the hiring, and now this is their turn to go find a fit. They have conducted these interviews with this man. The berth was the wide berth, or the wide search for this coordinator position is basically done by Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie. They bring a list of candidates. They do the interview. Nick looks at them. They interview him, and they say, okay, this is the guy that might fit the scheme. This is the guy that will fit with what I want to do with the offense. And then at that point, it comes down to Jeffrey Lurie, and then he gives that stamp of approval. And thus, Sean Mannion is the guy. Let's talk about his coaching experience a little bit. We'll get into some of the positive stuffs about this hire and some of the questions that I have regarding this hire, because, again, there's something a little bit weird about it, in my opinion, in regards to how this team operates. But his coaching experience, like I mentioned before, in 2024, he was the Green Bay Packers offensive assistant and joined the staff immediately after retiring as a player, and he helped focus on the passing game and helped with the quarterback room. Then he became the quarterback's coach in 2025, and this was on the recommendation of Green Bay Packers legendary quarterback coach Tom Clements. He specifically was a guy that developed Brett Favre, developed Aaron Rodgers, developed Jordan Love. And again, the Green Bay Packers, say what I have my beef with the Green Bay Packers. I think they are at times a ridiculous team, not proven, a little bit of a joke at times. But one thing I cannot deny, and one thing that NFL fans cannot deny, one is that they're a good team. They've always been a good team. I've never seen a bad Green Bay Packers team, number one. Number two, they always get the quarterback right. Like, they always find a guy that can get in there and get the job done, okay? Throughout my football life, they have gotten that right. And Tom Clements is part of that reason, and he's a legendary coach in Green Bay. They love him. He specifically picked Sean Mannion to replace him. Handpicked this guy to be the quarterback's coach in Green Bay. And there's a story out there about the Sean Mannion hire. When he was going out there trying to interview for jobs, he said, "Hey, Matt LaFleur, I would love to, run my pitch by you. I want to see if there's any tips you can give me to be able to get a job somewhere else." And Matt LaFleur says, "Yeah, sure, let's go ahead and do it. I'll help you out." Sean Mannion creates such a pitch, creates such a presentation. After it, Matt LaFleur says, "Dude, I don't want you to leave this freaking building. Like, what the? Don't go anywhere. Like, please do not leave the pack." The Green Bay Packers really, really think highly of Sean Mannion. Okay, they do. And he helped develop Jordan Love, who had a career year this past year, according to his numbers. What he had, like 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Like, he had a really, really good year. And then look at what Malik Willis did when Jordan Love went down. You can call that play calling. Quarterback's coach, I think, plays a key role in that. And Malik Willis, that was some of the best quarterbacking he has done in his career. He looked sharp throwing the ball. He looks decisive. He looked quick. Did everything he had to do to help with the Packers win ball games, right? And again, he has some pedigree that we're going to talk about in just a moment, where it's his playing experience, what the Packers and other coaches think about him, what other players think about him, right? We'll get into all that and maybe some of the questions that I have regarding this hire. But before I do that, let me introduce you to the show. This is the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. I am your host, Asaf Badi, and like you, I am a Birds fan who talks about the Birds, only the Birds, nothing but the Philadelphia Eagles. So please do us a favor here, help us grow this channel organically by shooting this video a thumbs up, commenting your thoughts in the comment section below, and subscribing to the channel. Also check us out on audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star review, because in the end, it doesn't cost you a damn thing to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We appreciate your support on the opposite side of the camera and on the opposite side of the airwaves, as we broke the 700 mark, so we appreciate everybody who is subscribing. We are trying to get to at least 1,000, at least within the next off season here. So we would really, really appreciate you spreading the word and helping a brother out here. Okay. He was a former third-round pick, he being Sean Mannion. This is some of the good things that I like about this hire, by the way. Okay, I'm going to separate that and make that distinction. Why did I believe this could potentially be a good hire? I'll play a little bit of the devil's advocate for both sides here, but why this could work out. He was a former third-round pick by the Rams in 2015. Spent this time with the Vikings and the Seahawks, started 3 games, was a valuable backup to guys like Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, and Russell Wilson, and was a guy that they believe helped prep them with good football IQ and excellent preparation. In college, he was at Oregon State. He set the Pac-12 record for career passing yards at 13,600 yards and remains the school's all-time leading passer in touchdowns with 83 touchdowns. So again, little bit of pedigree, has some skills, was a third-round pick in the NFL. That's no thing to sneeze at by any means. And as I mentioned before, the Green Bay Packers love Sean Mannion. Matt LaFleur praised Sean Mannion of his extreme ownership of preparation, noting that even as a player, he had a clear future as a coach in the NFL, and they were not happy to lose him, given that he had great chemistry with the quarterback Jordan Love. And again, we already read the statement about Nick Sirianni, how he appreciated systematic views of the offense and stuff like that, and also that he has an all-star list of coaches and people that he's been around. Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Kevin O'Connell, Matt LaFleur. Todd Clemens. Again, these are quality coaches, quality people in the NFL who, if they have good words or good things to say about you, that means something. It really, really means something. He has a reputation. Like I said, he's a bright young mind that a lot of NFL guys in the NFL circles talk about him, that he's a fast riser. And he's really credited to helping not only Jordan Love, but as I said, Malik Willis develop as a passer. And he has some play calling experience. I know he doesn't have a lot. He has one game, the East-West Shrine Bowl, whatever the frick that is. I believe it's just a game of just like other college recruits, maybe some low-star recruits or whatever it is. I didn't really look into it too much, but he served offensive coordinator for the West team in the East-West Shrine Bowl. Helped them win 21-17. And I think the quarterbacks won 22 for 27. So a good completion percentage and all that stuff, and help the offense get a little bit of rhythm, yada, yada, yada. Why I think this could potentially be a good hire. One, the track record's there in terms of like things that I think players would respect, like being a player in the league and being a former quarterback, no matter what level you had as a player, I think is valuable for not only just a quarterback, but players in the locker room. Okay. I think it shows that, like, hey, this guy gets it. Like, he's been in the league before. He has, some knowledge of the game and a feel for the game. Right. And also, particularly for Jalen Hurts, I think this is going to be a year that will be the put up or shut up year. There's a video out there that I'm going to play for you that I think is really, really important in regards to why I think this potentially could be a good hire. Listen to this press conference. It's like a minute or so clip on Sean Mannion on what he, believes is important for a quarterback. So let me pull up the clip
of our progressions and timing and reading with our feet, and then just the fundamentals of the position. So
let me fix this again. Forgive the technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. And let me get that going.
Of our progressions and timing and reading with our feet, and then just the fundamentals of the position. So to me, it really starts with footwork, and that's something that all quarterbacks need to focus on. But, I know really when I first was exposed, it was with Matt in LA in 2017, and it was really a kind of foundational moment in my playing career. I got so much better from understanding how the footwork helps your accuracy, it helps your decision making, helps the timing of the play. So that's really kind of the starting point of what really with any quarterback, but Jordan in particular, we really just always want to have that point of emphasis at the forefront of. Yeah, I think it's ownership of our.
Right. So yeah, the things that he values is timing, footwork, fundamentals, all the things that, again, I'm a fan of Jalen Hurts, but these are things that you can't say he consistently does frequently, right? Like, he's not necessarily the best with his footwork. His fundamentals are, up and down. When he has a really, really good year, obviously his fundamentals, you could see the ball comes out of his hands quick. It looks sharp. He looks decisive. The footwork looks clean. The timing's much better. And you saw that in 2022. You saw that just last year with Kellen Moore. And then the off years, 2023, 2025, it wasn't the same, right? Like, it definitely wasn't the same. And despite the numbers that Jalen Hurts put up this year, and I think his numbers actually look pretty good on paper for the most part, it wasn't exactly necessarily a showing that was like, yeah, this is like a true quarterback in the league, right? Like, it wasn't a very good year for the Eagles offense and Jalen Hurts. But one of the critiques of this quarterback is that he is not very good being on time consistently. And that was one of the frustrations among some of the skill players. So if Sean Mannion, based on that little clip, helps Jalen Hurts improve his timing, thus improving his accuracy, and thus his ability to get the ball to these playmakers on the outside, it's a huge, huge deal. That's a huge, huge upgrade from what we had. And again, not a big Kevin Patullo fan. I don't think he was terrible, but he certainly wasn't good. Okay, he wasn't good at what he was doing. All right, and anybody who just solely blames the quarterback and puts none of the emphasis on the freaking OC, give me a freaking break. Okay, like, the guy was not good at what he did not give you any advantage at all, and just had no rhyme or reason for the sequencing of plays. Like, he just didn't have a feel for the game. Okay. Here's the bad side about the Sean Mannion hire. Like Kevin Patullo, by the way, outside of this East-West Shrine Bowl, no play calling experience per se, right? Like you're going into an offseason once again where there's a little bit of an unknown in terms of this guy's ability to sequence and create an offense and call the plays. That seems to be a theme with this Philadelphia Eagles football team. They did it with Brian Johnson, who didn't have play calling experience. They did it with Kevin Patullo, who didn't have play calling experience. Nick Sirianni, when he was hired as a head coach, initially was calling the plays, didn't have necessarily play calling experience. I don't believe Shane Steichen at the time had play calling experience. So this is nothing new to the Philadelphia Eagles, nothing new to Jalen Hurts. And this was one of the things that he was critical of with the Kevin Patullo hire in last offseason when he was like, this is going to be a different role for Kevin Patullo. And one of the questions we had was, what's it going to look like as a first-time play caller? And it evidently was not very good. Could you potentially have that with Sean Mannion? Yes, it's very, very possible. It's also very, very possible that while he is a rising star and while everybody has a lot of respect for this man as a coach, this could just be a shit show where, just nothing works, and it could be as bad or worse than it was just last season, right? Because more likely than not, you're not going to have A.J. Brown on this team. More likely than not, Dallas Goedert's up in the air. You don't know what Lane Johnson's career is going to look like now. You don't know what the deal is with Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson, how they're going to look. So all of a sudden, the talent pool on this team potentially could be cut down, and now you have a rookie offensive play caller here. I will say this, though. The fact that he was a quarterback in this league, I think, closes the gap from rookie play caller never calling a game to having a feel for the game and being able to speak the same language as quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts or even Tanner McKee, right? Being a guy who's been a quarterback in this league is a big deal. And I think it was valuable for Jalen Hurts last season when Kellen Moore was in the building, former quarterback at Boise State, all that jazz, right? Like I thought that was an important thing when Doug Peterson drafted him, former quarterback in this league, right? Sean Mannion being a quarterback, I think, is a huge, huge deal for this team. And I came into this hire again. I don't know what to make of it. I am on the surface. I understand why fans are going to love it. You're coming from the Shanahan, McVay, and LaFleur tree. You potentially are going to bring some concepts from their offenses to here, and it might bring a little bit of a new face and a little bit of a splash to this offense, just some concepts that could be used, or just a different voice, or a different way to explain things and teach things. Maybe break down fundamentals and really work on the feet work and getting the release right. All the little things that you probably need to be an effective quarterback in this offense. Sean Mannion might be able to close that gap a little bit better than Kevin Patullo, right? But I don't know his feel for the game. I don't know what his play calling sequencing is going to look like. We don't even know if he's going to change the offense. I highly doubt the offensive plays and schemes are going to change that much, okay? So in that sense, if that's what you're looking for out of this hire, I don't think you're going to get that. Okay. That is not what I believe this is. What I believe this is more than anything else, because it's going to be, there's only two sides of a coin here. It's either going to work really great and you get an offensive coordinator and you have a high level of success and then eventually gets a head coaching job. That's what Sean Mannion believes, right? And on the other side of the coin is that you hired a guy who doesn't have any play calling experience, while is a bright young star in the NFL, does not have a resume to speak of, so he's not going to come in and rock the boat of what's been the status quo of this football team over the past 5 years. Like I mentioned before, when I mentioned in my previous episode about Matt Nagy and Jim Bob Cooter, this organization, this football team, Nick Sirianni, they have every right to look at us fans and say, why in the hell would I change anything that I do as a coach? What we do as an organization with the track record that we have. Again, 2 Super Bowl appearances in the last 5 years, a Super Bowl title, and we've had this massive level of success, more winning in this period of Philadelphia Eagles history than maybe we have had in all of our team history. Okay. So Sirianni, while you may think he's a buffoon, and I think at times is a dingus, has the track record that says, hey, my record says I win more than any freaking coach that walked in this building. What are you going to do? Get rid of me? You're going to tell me I'm doing something wrong? Go screw yourself. Every right to say that. Same with the quarterback. Why would all of a sudden they want to change the things that they have done? It's led to a level of success that's been unprecedented in this franchise's history. However, the owner is a believer in, hey, I want this offense to start rolling a little bit. He loves the big passing game. He loves the innovative mind. He wants to be ahead of the curve, wants to be the smartest guy in the room. This organization, once again, like I said, brought in a quarterback's coach who's never called a play before because they don't necessarily care per se about developing the quarterback. I don't know if this hire with Sean Mannion particularly is about developing Jalen Hurts. Again, if he's going to work on the man's footwork, great. Awesome. Love to see it. Outside of that, though, I don't think you're changing the scheme. I think the fact that, Nick Sirianni gave him the license to go ahead and he's going to call plays and say, yeah, Sean Mannion, you call plays. And then Diana Rossini has a report out there that says, and Nick Sirianni will chime in the offensive meetings as well or something along those lines, which to me tells me Nick's going to have a play calling here. He's going to be part of the play calling experience because he's always been part of the play calling experience outside of Shane Steichen. And the joke of 2024, after the first quarter of games, he stepped out of the way and then the offense started moving the ball, right? So I went on a tangent there to say this. While on the surface, people are going to love this hire and they believe that this is going to explain whether or not Jalen Hurts is an ineffective quarterback or Nick Sirianni's an ineffective coach, I think this is more so along the lines of, hey, we found a guy who has a reputation in the league that people like, so good things are going to be said about him. Doesn't have a play calling record, so we could tell him what plays to run, when to run it, and guide him, as they say. And Nick Sirianni has a guy, if let's say they do decide not to fire Nick Sirianni and the offense flops, they can look at and say, hey, once again, another coordinator's coming to the building, doesn't have a history of play calling. A scapegoat can be made with Sean Mannion. But. This is my contention here. This is my theory on this. That's how they're going to try to spin it. That's what is going to be the attempt, because they already did it with Kevin Patullo and A.J. Brown. Those are the scapegoats of the 2024 season. The 2025 season. And while people may not like what A.J. Brown did and how he went about his business, and they may not like Kevin Patullo and how he went about his business, overall, the problems have been the same in this offense where it gets stagnant and it has periods where it just is running through mud and it's not very, very effective. And then there are other times where it's as brilliant of an offense as it gets. So is that necessarily the results of the play caller? Or is that just the design of the offense with Nick Sirianni and the inconsistencies of Jalen Hurts? And then the owner and GM being a part of all of these quarterback coaching tandem, being part of all these offensive coordinator changes and hires and all that jazz. The track record that this organization has with meddling the operations of football activity, starting from Andy Reid and McNabb and changing to Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz. And then from Carson Wentz being traded when Nick Sirianni got hired because he didn't want to be here. And now it's Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. again, like this organization, while on the surface this hire looks good, forgive me as a fan, over the past, I don't know, since 2007, past what, 18 years, forgive me for being someone who could potentially be skeptical of this hire. It's going to give some clarity, though, at the end of the day, and I think that's valuable. What this hire is going to do, it's the last straw for Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, and this era of Philadelphia Eagles football. It's either going to work or it's going to fall on its face. And if it falls on its face, it's not going to be amongst the NFL circles, rather. It's not going to be because Sean Mannion is a bad coach. Not when he's a rising star. Not when he's a guy that's highly touted amongst good organizations like the Packers and who's been around smart guys in the NFL like Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell, Kyle Shanahan. It's going to be because there's going to be common denominators that everyone's going to look at, and rightfully so. And it's always going to be thrown at the quarterback and head coach. When to me, I think it's more the owner and GM. I think they have a lot more to do with some of these collapses than people like to give them credit for. The problem is they also put together some of the best rosters we have seen over the past 4 to 5 years. So that's their job. But again, that might be a topic for another episode as I'm rambling on about this thing, and it's very late in the evening. So I'll leave you with this. Sean Mannion being hired as the Philadelphia Eagles offensive coordinator. On one hand, this could be one of the best hires that the Eagles could have made this offseason. And on the other hand, this seems like a hire that, because he has no track record of play calling, just seems to be a way that they could still control everything about this football team in regards to the scheme, to the way the quarterback plays, not rocking the boat. And the fact that he doesn't have any play calling experience means that Sirianni most likely will be involved in the offensive design and the scheme and the sequencing and all that jazz. Jeff Stoughton still remains as run game coordinator. So all these things are still present that have been present with every other play caller that's been here. Now it's just a matter of whether or not you get a coach and quarterback to buy in. You get a player to buy in. Do you get these offensive guys to buy into this offensive coordinator's vision and sequencing of the game? And if it doesn't work out and they try to scapegoat this man, Eagle fans now are going to understand it ain't just the coordinator anymore. This is either on the head coach or this is either on the quarterback. There's going to be no leeway for these two individuals anymore. And when or if that ever happens, I will be one of the first people to tell you, don't be so quick to blame the player and the head coach. You're going to have to look elsewhere. So I'll leave you with this. This hire at the very end of the day, it's going to be very damn interesting. It's very apropos. It's very, very boom or bust, which is exactly what the Philadelphia Eagles have been over the Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie tenure. They've been either really, really well run, really, really successful, or it's one of the more dysfunctional units that you have seen in the NFL. Regardless of what this outcome is going to bring, it's going to bring clarity, and it's certainly intriguing. I am excited for this hire, not necessarily because I think this is going to be a home run hire. I think it's going to be good. I think he's going to do a really good job. I think it's going to help this offense and just look better than it did last season. But it's just going to bring clarity. And that's the one thing that I think Philadelphia Eagles fans have been seeking from this organization and this team throughout their whole tenure. And that this Eagles team, as successful as it's been, always operates in the land of obscurity. And this hire, whether it's successful or not, there's nothing to be obscure at the end of the season. Nothing's going to be obscure. There's going to be clarity and there's going to be decisions made based on this successful hire or this unsuccessful hire. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I know it was a little bit of a long-winded episode. I went on a little bit of a tangent towards the end, but let me know what you think of Sean Mannion. Let me know what you think of the hire, whether you think it's going to work out, whether you're excited for the upcoming season, because now we shift our priorities from offensive coordinator and getting these coaching staff right to free agency and the draft and the way to build this team, what we're going to do with A.J. Brown's contract, Dallas Goedert's contract. What exactly is the identity of this team? What are you going to expect for the 2026 season? Those are things that we're going to be talking about with this organization, with this football team down the line. But for now, let's rejoice in the fact that the offensive coordinator search is now over and we could shift our priorities more to true offseason topics like the design of this team and all the fun stuff that comes in the offseason. So with that being said, thank you for watching the show. We will see you back here next time for another episode of the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. Hey. Thank you so much for watching the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. If you want to continue to support the channel, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. Also, check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Riding the Bench Eagles Pod. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're on there. Thank you so much for listening, and please join us next time here at the Riding the Bench Eagles Podcast.